What's going on, guys? It's Risquee. I'm going to do a quick little sample breakdown video here for you. I've got a R&B, ambient, very like vintage sounding, nothing too crazy going on type of sample. What I'm going to do is break it down real quick, kind of walk through what was going through my head as I was cooking it up, kind of save you some time from watching me cook it up, while still giving you the chance to walk away with a few tips. And if you've never explored this type of genre, maybe a good chance to get a feel for it and see how one's cooked up. So we'll actually start there. If we go to main, so you'll see, let me back up a second, you'll see that all this is rendered to audio. Just as a quick little like note, I do that at the end of the loop once I've got it usually laid out and arranged and also mixed. That's when I'll render and replace, because I don't assign these channels back to the mixer. I'll just use the volume knobs and then mess with the time stretching. So anyway, let's get into the MIDI for main. So as you'll see, it's pretty basic. I believe this is in F minor. We're going from F minor to A sharp minor. Nothing too crazy going on here. Just kind of arpeggiated chord. What really made it for this vibe for me was the sound selection. So this is a bell I used. I actually saved this patch for this sample. It came from this original one out of my own kit, Velocity. I made it a long time ago. I actually didn't know this was out of my kit. This is I guess a shameless plug, but I had this. This is the original patch. It's got 3 sounds on it. I actually took the choir out for this one. If we go back to that. And it's just the Horner guitarette finger. For whatever reason, the RR patch is the only one that works for me. And I did mess with the decay a little bit, and then I turned the compressor way up on the threshold, so it's compressing basically every part of the sound. Quite a bit at 5.2, not like that matter. I mean, it doesn't have to be 5.2, you can do 5.0, wherever you want to put it, whatever sounds good to your ear. I'm definitely no scientist there. And then I just added some gain, because you'll hear it's got a little warmth to it. And then once I exported it, you'll see it's got you hear like a little bit of distortion when it gets higher. So that's the main. What I'll go to next real quick is just the bass. Like I said, I put this in most of my samples, and I use this really just for a reference, but it also can kind of add a nice element to the loop as well, especially if you want to use it for like a hook or a breakdown. But all I'm doing here, I'm using the Contact plugin Scarby bass right here, and it's pretty much the default bass. So very simple here. It's more about the rhythm, and it's just bouncing from the roots and really following that similar pattern. And that's something I've just heard from other samples, things like that, and I knew I wanted to add something in this pattern to, outside of the roots, just to kind of grab the ear for a second, and this seemed like a good place to do it. So all I did was go according to the scale. This is the 6th and the 5th right here, C sharp and C. Just danced on that for a second, and then right back down to the root, just so oh, it's interesting, and then right back down to what we're expecting, and then right back down to the loop all over again. So that is the bass. Right back down the line, we got the strings here. Meaning that it's very, very basic, nothing too crazy going on here. It's just the C, which is the 5th of the F minor chord, F, G sharp, C. Back down to like the root of the main note, which is kind of cool. It just plays around with the ear, especially on something that's like quote unquote texture like this. You don't really want to follow where other notes are sitting. You want to contrast a little bit to make it stand out to the ear without playing a whole bunch of notes and grabbing all of the attention. And then I'll show real quick too, this is the verse idea. All I did here was just essentially space it out over 8 bars. So you get your C in the beginning, and then it plays through. Boom, and if we hear that in here, whoops. See how much space that creates along with the new main pattern. And then going right back on down the line, so far we've been very simple. The most notes we've played have been in the main, and it's just an arpeggiated chord. So going right back down the line, we've got the off chord here. And all that means is it's the chord is just offbeat. That's why I call it the off chord. And the sound and the actual pattern itself, I kind of was inspired by Pierre Bourne for. I've been listening to a lot of him lately, and this is something he'll do, especially with this type of patch, which is under soft pads in Expand. It's called Organ Choir. I remember when I was making this, I was quite literally like, oh, I need like an organ or like a choir, something a little bit stabby with some release. And I happened to find this in soft pads, so it was actually more like this, as opposed to how it is now, which is more closer to like this. So it's more, it plays more like a key now instead of a pad, but I kept the release on there so you get a nice little tail on it. And all it is those same chords. It just mirrors the chords. It's off beat a little bit, so it's on the second beat here, or the second division within these four. And I did add a seventh, which isn't in the main pattern. So there are two notes here that aren't in the main pattern. That kind of what makes it stand out a little bit, in my opinion, along with it being off beat. So we're taking up space, but different things are taking turns taking up space, if that makes sense. And we're not using a whole lot of notes to take up that space. And I think that's kind of what makes this loop interesting to the ear. So the last piece of the puzzle here, we've got the lead. And this follows suit with everything else. It's very simple, as you can hear. Just dances between a few different notes. So if we go to, let me pause this so it's not too distracting. If we go here, all I did was roll up from the seventh, and we actually land on the second because of this patch. The way this patch sounded, I just liked the way it sat there, as opposed to like something more traditional. Like, it's cool, but I just like this is, I don't know, a little bit more jazzy, if you ask me, a little bit more R&B, if you ask me. And then we jump back down to C here, and these are notes that are in none of the other patterns, so that's kind of what makes the lead stand out, again, without playing too many notes and doing all this crazy stuff. Like, it's at 168, but it feels very mellow. So the patch, believe it or not, I went to Expand for this one as well. This one is a pad that I turned into more of a lead. So on this one, this is under action pads. I believe it's the top one. Yeah, Airy Pulsator Plus. So this had quite a bit of attack and release. I turned it way down so it plays more like a lead, right? So that's the lead, nothing too crazy, and then all I did for a verse idea was just pitch it down a little bit. That's usually what I'll do for some verse idea, but that is the quick little sample cook-up, a little R&B, ambient, Bryson Tiller, whatever you want to call it, type joint. I love doing these type of R&B things. I will do a cook-up video where you're watching me cook up one on the spot, but for my first video on the GLBL channel, I didn't want to just take up 17 minutes of your time with a whole bunch of cook-up, rambling while I'm doing it, which often takes me longer, and all that. I figured you'd get a lot more out of me just explaining my thought process and how I had arrived at some of these things. So if you like this style of cook-up video, please let me know. I certainly like making them. Let me know in the comments if there's a certain style you want to see, certain genre, if you want me to remake something and break it down like how I approached it. Totally welcome to do it. So there will be other videos from me coming, like cook-up videos and whatnot, all that fun stuff coming to this channel. But that's it for now. My name's Risquee, @_Risquee on Twitter, Instagram. Come say hi, come say what's up, give me a follow. I'll probably follow you back. And yeah, until the next one, stay well.